Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I know Kung Fu.
And this week, we jack into our first series of the year, starting with the Wachowskis' 1999 film, The Matrix. Before we bake your noodles, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by smashing that like and subscribe button on YouTube, leaving us a review on iTunes, or just telling a friend about the show.
Mm-hmm. Take them on a friendship quest.
Yeah. You can have your own, you can jack into each other for all we care.
That's what this movie spends a lot of time doing is jacking into each other.
100%. So, folks, it's the new year. We're recording on January 4th, 2026. We've been teasing a format reset, and this is it. Essentially, we wanted to kind of change up the format, do a little bit less summary, do a little bit more talking about what the media property we're talking about is doing. I don't know what exactly that means. It mostly just means that it's not super interesting for people to read out their plot, analysis of the, or not even analysis, right? Just reading out the plot of a movie is sometimes a little bit boring. It's certainly boring for me to, write. But I'm hoping that we can do, we're still going to do a quick plot summary, but I am hoping we can spend a little bit more time analyzing specific scenes, specific themes, working more in that, what we call our, talking points section of the outline. So, bear with us for the first couple of, episodes of this. We're going to see if this format change works or not. But I think it will be a little bit closer to, something that helps me and Leyla stretch our big brains. Leyla, do you have any thoughts on the format change?
I think the thing I will say to expect will be, I would not be surprised, audience members, if there were some shorter episodes, because I would rather edit down rather than bore you. So, it's going to take us a little minute to stretch our big, beautiful, wrinkly brains and to find our footing. But we've done it twice before. We will do it again.
Yeah. And with that, Leyla, do you ever feel like this certainly can't be real life?
I certainly felt like that when I opened my phone yesterday morning to a text from you that said, next message, we just kidnapped the Venezuelan president.
Yeah, that's not great. Sorry about that, everyone. I wish that wasn't happening.
We are talking about The Matrix. We just, we podcast through history a lot, so I just want to make sure put that bookmark in.
Yeah, that's the energy we're bringing in 2026, apparently. And by we, I mean the United States government. So, Leyla, you've never seen The Matrix before, right?
No, and I was shockingly unspoiled for it.
Yeah, so, overall, how'd you feel about it?
I love this fucking movie. I can see how it birthed a generation of edgelords with terminal main character syndrome. I can see it. But I also had a fantastic time watching a very earnest, kind of campy sci-fi action movie with some of the funniest one-liners, probably unintentionally, most likely unintentionally, that I've ever heard.
I am genuinely delighted to hear that you had a good time with it. I was going to be so upset if you didn't like this movie because I think it's so important to the last 25 years of culture in the United States. And I'm just really pleased that you enjoyed it because there is so much that not only has this franchise, specifically this one film, permeated into our culture here in the US, but just for me personally, The Matrix is important. So I went to private Catholic high school, as longtime listeners will be aware of, and one thing at private Catholic high school that they made us do was that they made us do an apologetics class. Now, apologetics is the science / practice of defending the faith. The poor woman who taught our apologetics class was probably not older than 26 years old. She was a sweetheart, but because people in private Catholic high school are often mean, she had a difficult time teaching the course, but it was one of those courses where you can kind of get creative with it. And one of the assignments she gave us was to make a little film, defending some aspect of faith. I don't remember the details, but it's important for me because me and my friends from cross country and the honors club did a Matrix parody where we defended the practice of Catholicism. It was probably only 3 minutes long. It was basically like a trailer, right? But we put the clubbed to death music in there. We had little swords and my little airsoft guns. I edited in the little gun flares. That was my first major video editing project, right? As somebody who is now a YouTuber, right? That moment is fixed clearly in my mind. I have tried multiple times to find this movie. It doesn't exist on YouTube anymore, to my great shame. But like this movie, like hit me right at a point in time where I was both, coming into myself as like a creative, as well as a point in time where I am like months away from deconverting to Catholicism. So like this movie is really, really important to me.
That is one of the most beautiful stories you've ever told me.
Yeah, and I think it just makes sense because you can read The Matrix. This movie can be read so many ways, and I think that's what makes it such a juicy thing to podcast about, certainly, but also why it has such big cultural impacts. So, I don't know if you have any other, just off the top thoughts on The Matrix before we go in, but otherwise I can start the plot summary.
I just haven't had that much fun in a while, I think, and the other part of it was Aaron did message me today while I was slowly getting my shit together. Sundays are a slow day for me. It takes you forever to get out of bed and do all my stuff. And so Aaron messages me at some point and is like, have you watched The Matrix yet? And obviously, no, I haven't. I watch everything last minute because I have turbo ADHD. And I go, no, not yet. I was going to do it after I walk my dog. And he was like, I would like to watch it with you. And we watched it together on Discord. And I laughed so hard at one point that I did taste bile in the back of my mouth. Because it is just the most... I think movies like this can feel... I felt this way about Star Wars, too, until I watched it. Movies like this can feel really inaccessible to me because... So if we're kind of talking about our backgrounds, longtime listeners will know that I'm an immigrant and that I kind of had a period of cultural catching up to do. And if something came out before 2005 or was relevant before 2005, I probably missed it. And The Matrix is definitely one of those things. So I feel like especially working in tech and being surrounded by nerds, The Matrix always felt really inaccessible to me because people who really want you to think that they're smart really like this movie. And they treat it like this really highfalutin thing. It's like a fun... I mean, yeah, it's like trying to say something, but for the most part, it's kind of like a fun, big budget action flick with Keanu Reeves' big, beautiful brown eyes in it. So I think the thing that I want to start this beautiful new year of Mortified with is if you ever come across something and it feels inaccessible to you because people have made it kind of a pretentious endeavor to engage with it, you should engage with it anyway because you might have fun. And for reasons unrelated to reasons that maybe that thing is prevalent in pop culture. And what's really going to cook your noodle is really one of the best lines in all of cinema.
It's so good. It's so many of these lines stuck with me for years and years, and bake your noodle is one of those that really does get at the heart of what makes this a charming movie. The Oracle's great. So, the plot. Computer programmer and hacker Thomas, a.k.a. Neo Anderson, gets contacted by another hacker, a.k.a. Trinity, who claims she can show him what the Matrix is. Leyla, can you give me a guess before you watch this movie? What did you think the Matrix was? I
knew that the whole conceit was that the life that these people are living is not real and that they're being used for some nefarious purpose, IRL. I did not know that nefarious purpose was big people battery.
Okay, that's so fun because like yeah, I think that's the everybody kind of knows it's like okay, real life is simulated. What's going on? And then when you watch this movie, it's like oh, that's fucking stupid. That's hysterical. But yeah, so yeah, at first he's skeptical, but Trinity is a group of like weird leather-clad, glasses-wearing cyberpunk hacker people. They FedEx him a phone, and the leader of this group, Morpheus, is able to like give him instructions.
They FedEx him a Nokia.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I wanna put some respect on Nokia's name because that thing gets thrown out the window. I guarantee you it is fine. Indestructible phones.
This movie ostensibly takes place in 1999 when technology was still good. He like gets chased through his like workplace and then gets captured by some strange FBI looking agents, and they know a lot about him. And he's like, okay, he's been like selling software illegally, right? So he knows that there's something going on here. But they are really interested in capturing Morpheus. He tells them to fuck off, and then they use psychic powers to seal his mouth shut and inject him with a bug. What? Yeah.
Yucky.
Yeah.
This movie is sometimes yucky.
Yes, it is yucky at parts, and I think that is part of its charm. I think they make great use of the practical shit because there's a lot of weird CGI in this movie, but I think a lot of the practicals really hit hard. Anyway, Neo is taken to meet Morpheus, who offers to free his mind, whatever that means. And actually what it means is that he literally unplugs Neo from a biomechanical mind prison that he was born into that was constructed by robots around the year 2199, into which most of humanity has been born into and are now, as we just alluded to, serving as batteries. The robots are taking human electricity and turning it into energy for themselves. Which is awesome. It's really funny.
There is a moment in this explanation that Morpheus is giving Neo that I think was not given the reaction that it was owed. And this is similar to, Ngozi Ukazu, who is the author of Check Please, which is a gay romance hockey webcomic from like 10 years ago, has a new novel out, graphic novel out called Flip. And in Flip, the premise is that the young female protagonist, which is Freaky Fridays with her crush, and they at one point go to this woman's house who had the same affliction as they do. And what they find out is that every time they flip, the window to flip back gets longer and longer and longer and longer. And she's like, yeah, so here's the thing. I'm the guy right now. Like, the body that I am in is not my own. And the problem is that I am due to flip back in 5 years, except my body had cancer and died. And that is an insane thing to put in this children's novel, graphic novel, because the implications are seismic and they never get brought up again. And that is how I felt when Morpheus was like, yeah, so by the way, when you are in the goo tube, being a body battery, when you are a baby in the goo tube, what you are being fed is like melted down dead people. And that is never mentioned again. And I was like, can we get a reaction at all to the fact that you are being sustained on dead people goo? The answer is no. I guess he had more important things to worry about.
So Neo also is explained to by Morpheus that he is a part of a prophecy, that when the Matrix was first constructed, someone was born who could manipulate it at their will, and that Neo is essentially a reincarnated version of that person. Morpheus believes that with his whole heart, and is eventually willing to sacrifice himself to be submitted to the agent's captivity in order to save Neo, because he believes Neo is this one guy. And Neo and Trinity are like, well, that's fucked up because Neo talked to the Oracle. The Oracle said it wasn't him. So Neo is like, okay, well, I guess we got to go save Morpheus. Otherwise, the robots will find the last human settlement. They'll send the robot, monsters there, and they're going to blow us up and kill us all. And that's bad. They get betrayed at one point. There's another guy, Cypher, played by Joey Pantoliano, who is a great scumbag. He betrays them. That's how Morpheus gets captured. But eventually they work together. They are able to, Neo is able to free Morpheus from their captivity by doing some cool action shit. It is revealed that he is the one. The Oracle just kind of lied to him to get him to become the person he needs to be. Neo does all sorts of action bullshit, and they save the day. And then he does some Superman shit at the end.
Yeah, it is very cool to see all the iconic camera work and all the shots and the bullet dodging and the cool action sequences. That's nice. It's interesting. It's good to see it in context. It's a lot of fun.
Right. Like when you think about Shrek, which came out 2 years after this movie.
And boy, howdy do I.
Mm-hmm. Right. Shrek is aping from this. They're like, oh, we got to copy that.
Right.
It's great.
Well, isn't everything. We watched it together and I was like, oh yeah, I see how this references this. It's like the Akira slide, right? Everyone's got an Akira slide. Everyone's grokked something from the goddamn Matrix.
Right. So overall, any things that you want to hit on the plot besides that nobody reacted appropriately to the human dead people goo?
There is, because this is a movie made in 1989. There is a very lame little beat where Trinity is constantly hiding what the Oracle told her from Neo, and she's like, I can't tell you, I'm scared. And I think it's so it's not hard to call it where you're like, oh, did she predict that you were going to fall in love with the one because you're a woman in a 1999 sci-fi movie? And lo and behold, that was the case. Yes, the Oracle was like, you're going to fall in love with the one, which good for you. Any Oracles want to give me that kind of prediction, I welcome it. But the other part of that is that, unfortunately, I think that the two agents that aren't Agent Smith had more chemistry with Trinity and Neo did.
Why didn't you like the Neo and Trinity chemistry?
She was really doing her best. I think Keanu was too locked in.
I think that's fair. I think Reeves has such a I don't want to say good boy, but he does feel like he's a little bit absent in every scene. And to be fair, he was working through a neck surgery while training and filming this. So there were I'm sure he did have a lot of struggles when they were producing this, but his whole presentation as an actor feels a little bit spacey.
Yes. But I think that's, bless you, but I think that's fine for the role. Because, he just got a huge shock. Morpheus kind of implies that they don't usually pull people out of the Matrix that are as old as he is because your mind can kind of it's too shocking and your mind can melt, basically. And so I think he really works. At some point you told me that the other casting for Neo might have been Will Smith, and I think even having watched Will Smith in Fresh Prince, he has that kind of sardonic, kind of in on the joke energy. He's got a quip for everything. And even did you ever watch that Netflix movie Bright?
No, but I've heard a lot about Bright. I know about Bright.
It's a bad movie, but in Bright, Will Smith plays a cop that hates orcs. It's very funny. But even then, he's got a quip for everything. Even in serious situations, he does well as a reluctant hero, rather than, I think Reeves is the right fit for Neo because Reeves has this pivot where he has to, by the way that the story works, by the internal logic of the story, he has to buy into it. Mm-hmm. Right? He has to be like, no, you're right, I am the one. Otherwise, he won't be the one. That's the whole conceit. And Reeves is the right move for that. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work. There's no romantic chemistry, which is sad because there's a trilogy. I feel like they could have maybe stretched the romance a little bit, and that would have worked better. But yeah, whatever. Yeah. I think you're right. I think the romance between Trinity and Neo is pretty weak. Certainly here,
We'll see how the other two movies pan out. I do want to play a game with the casting of Neo. So we know, obviously, Keanu Reeves. We know that I mentioned before, Will Smith was offered the role but turned it down to make a Wild Wild West. I'm reading off the Wikipedia in case anybody wants to, figure out where all this is coming from. But if you had to think about the late 90s, think what other actor or actors do you think were offered this role?
Brendan Fraser?
Good guess. Very good guess.
Late 90s.
What was like one of the most successful movies of the 90s?
Leo?
Yes, Leo initially accepted the role, but ultimately turned it down because he did not want to do a visual effects film directly after Titanic. That's from Wikipedia. Nicolas Cage turned down the part because of family obligations. The Warner Brothers sought Brad Pitt or Val Kilmer for the role, but the studio pushed for Keanu Reeves over the Wachowskis' first choice, Johnny Depp. So every day, when everybody's talking about how the billionaires are ruining our country and passing laws that are going to make us work forever and invading foreign countries, just remember, they did save us from having to watch Johnny Depp in this role, which would have ruined this movie and franchise utterly.
It's just... Those are all such different performers.
Incredible. Like, what? This movie would have been fully different with any single one of those people.
Like, there is, like, Leo is maybe the closest at that time. Right? We're talking Titanic era. Leo is maybe the closest at that time to what Reeves brought, but he doesn't have that kind of, like, wide-eyed... I think... There's something too grounded about his performances. And then if you think about Johnny Depp, again, of that era, don't think about bumbling Jack Sparrow. This is Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
That would have been a fucking unhinged movie.
It would have been pretty interesting.
I would actually pay money to see what the romantic chemistry between Trinity and Johnny Depp kind of Edward Scissorhands era would have been in that movie.
Another thing, the Carrie-Anne Moss, was eventually Trinity. That was her like first major acting role. Other people who are offered the role include Janet Jackson, Salma Hayek,
paid for that,
and Jada Pinkett Smith, who is in the second movie. So we'll see Jada Pinkett. But wild options here.
Wait, sorry, it was Salma. Who was before Salma Hayek?
Sandra Bullock?
Janet
Janet
did
Jackson.
Not even say Janet.
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading the Wikipedia. Also, Sandra Bullock was offered.
I would want to see Janet Jackson.
I think it'd be good, yeah.
I think Janet Jackson, could have gotten it out of Keanu for the romantic chemistry.
Yeah, I feel like all of the acting in this movie is a little bit stilted, except for Lawrence Fishburne, who is having the most fun anybody's ever had in a film.
Lawrence Fishburne, I don't care who else they could have cast. It had to have been him.
There's no one else. You
need that character, that mentor character. You need them to be bought the fuck in. And he was bought the fuck in.
Yes, he delivers all those dumbass lines with the gravitas of an ancient sage. It's awesome. I love him. He's so cool. I'll link the documentary that I kind of skimmed through when they were, of the making of this movie. But the like people that they hired to teach them all martial arts, like they're like, oh yeah, Lawrence Fishburne is just like naturally gifted at this. Like for all of the other ones, they're like, these guys are fucking dipshits, except for Lawrence Fishburne, who they're like, yeah, he rules. He kicks ass.
Of course he does. Oh God, I love him so much.
But yeah, like the way that these actors do their roles, Hugo Weaving, like I said this to you when we were recording, but he speaks as if he's trying to keep his mouth as small as possible. He's like worried that too many syllables will escape. He speaks like he is making sure his lips do not touch. His tongue is not going to touch any part of the top of his mouth or the backs of his teeth in order to make the sounds. It's so mealy mouthed. It's awesome. It's so weird.
He really like hangs on the R's too. It's really funny. Mm-hmm. Like that poor British actor was really, really going through it. But I think there were multiple times where he would say something and we would just like mock him because it's such a funny, such a forced. I think that because it was so funny and so forced, it works for the character. It gives him a very inhuman presence, which is then again made even funnier by the other two agents who are also putting it, like, there's not comedy writing for the agents, but the way they are interacting behind Agent Smith all the time, I'm like, oh, those two are fucking. Like, there's no way. They have so many charged interactions where I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll buy that they are having some sort of weird cyber sex in the background of this movie.
It's incredible. They, I think those agents are Paul Goddard and Robert Taylor are the actors.
Good for them.
They're doing great. Even with like their like total of 10 lines in the entire movie. It's awesome.
A lot of stupid sunglasses happening in this movie, both for the good guys and the bad guys. It did remind me at one point of, so for our friend book club, we did read Falling in Love with the Amish Bad Boy. And at one point, the protagonist of that book does remark on the love interest's like gas station wraparound sunglasses and how sexy they are. And at one point, I didn't think about that moment watching this movie.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is dressed a very particular way. Like, there's all sorts of leather and black sunglasses, and they are trying to go for like a cyberpunk, cyber goth type look,
Right.
in a way that like. Unfortunately, will go on to inspire a generation of huge fucking losers. But like, it's this movie like is trying to do something with every choice, right? Like we are just about to hit like I think I don't remember when Phantom Menace comes out, right? But like it's around the same time, like it's either 97 or 99. But like Phantom Menace and eventually the other two Star Wars prequels will like go on to like innovate a style of making movies, which is that you could just do CG and like you like try to like change everything in the edit, right? And like here, the Wachowskis are like trying to do something where they're at least trying to get the performances. They are using CG to augment their film and not the Lucas method of just being like, we'll just do everything CG.
Right, we'll fix it in post.
Right, fixing it in post. So I think that's like a critical thing of like we're seeing like the last an intentional use of CG for a while before we get this like mid 2000s glut of terrible CG that we're all familiar with. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it was all good and perfect, and Beowulf looked like that on purpose.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, there's just a tactility of this, right? We talk about, this movie is very interested in technology. It's very interested in the way that you that computers and cell phones and regular phones work at the time. And every one of those like pieces of like analog communications tech has such a distinct and tactile feel, right? There's all sorts of ports and jacks and like little clicky buttons. It just makes me so, nostalgic, one, which is a trap, obviously, but two, just like impressed with the way that they managed to make this technology feel very, physically present.
Yeah, and a lot of that's in the soundscape too. I think like even in the beginning, just there was a shot in the very, very beginning when Trinity is running away from Agent Smith that they just like slowed down her running across a rooftop. And in that slowed down shot, they really made her footsteps like heavier and deeper than they are at regular speed, which I mean is mostly to not break the illusion of the slow-mo, but it felt tactile. Whenever anybody gets thrown into a wall, it feels like that. You get the hissing of the like cables and everything's kind of goopy. It's just a very touchy movie. It's good. I really miss that era of filmmaking. There's a YouTube video I was hoping to watch before we recorded, but I must uphold my commitment to January yoga, so it didn't happen. But there's a movie about why movies don't look quote unquote real anymore, and it's a haptic versus optic thing. I'll pull the link for our show notes, but I'm really interested in that because there is really something to be said about the way movies look now, and there's like a fundamental difference. There's even a point where Trinity is sitting in a car with Neo, and there's a light shining on her jaw, and you can see the texture of her skin and like the fine hairs there. I don't feel like I see that anymore.
As far as scenes, are there any like scenes we want to break down and talk about? Any ones that stood out to you in particular?
Do you have any?
I think probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is the Neo Morpheus like dojo fight where they first load him up. He's freed, and they teach him that he's going to have to become the chosen one. They spend 10 hours loading all sorts of combat software into him, so he knows. When he wakes up, he goes, "I know kung fu." One of the greatest lines in the movie. And he fights with Lawrence Fishburne, and they're not using stunt doubles, right? They are. This is all Fishburne and Reeves, which is crazy. This is 4 months of training, 2 months of which were just for this dojo fight. But I'm not sure what it does, right? Like what. I'm not sure that there's a purpose to having this big action set piece in the middle of your movie besides just to show, just to show the audience a fun time. But I did have a fun time. I think the dojo sequence is so fun because like you get this point where Morpheus is talking to Neo and he's like, why did I beat you? And Neo is like, you're faster than me. He's like, this is an air. You think this is air you're breathing? Nothing about my muscles in this place allowed me to beat you. Stop trying to hit me and hit me. Like, actually, and this goes back to that point you made about Neo having to believe that he's the one. All of this is wrapped in like a framework of like understanding, a white, pair of white siblings, understanding of, like mysticism and simulation. And, there's a lot of like kind of woo woo stuff in here, about, like Buddhism basically, but like, it boils down to like, belief, right? This is why it was so easy to do a video on faith for this video, because it is all just about like what you believe to be true and believing in your own power. Mm-hmm. But yeah, all of that, like, working the themes of this movie in, I wouldn't say effortlessly. I'd say they're pretty blunt. But when you kind of weave them in and make them work well with this like just completely, spectacular is the only way I can describe it. Action set piece where Neo is fighting Morpheus. I think it's so, so good.
I mean, it is. It's very, very good. It's a lot of fun, but it does have a purpose, I think, in the sense that what we're used to seeing in a lot of these movies, especially of this era, are like training / makeover montages. And it is throughout those montages that we see the character evolve. And I think this scene is necessary because Neo is sitting in a chair getting software installed. And that's not very fun to watch. And yeah, he'll turn his head and he'll say, I know kung fu. Again, best line in the whole fucking movie. So funny. And delivered so earnestly. There was no self-consciousness to it. There was no, I know this is goofy. This is, I know kung fu now, and it's fucking sick. And it's like, it's why he had to be Neo. There could be no one else. Mm-hmm. But because we're not getting the steady improvement of him learning a skill through a montage, we are instead getting a kind of couple of clips of him getting software uploaded and then a character telling us he's a machine, he's been at this for 10 hours. We need to see some kind of proof of him improving. And it would not... I think a different, subtler movie with a more deft touch could have done that organically by putting him in the field. But this is not a subtle movie with a deft touch. This is a movie that's a comic book. So you have to have, okay, hey, we've put the listening device in. Great, we're taking it out. We're introducing Neo to the Matrix. Great, he's the one. We're installing jujitsu software in him. Great, we're going to test it out right now. There's no real overarching, in the structure of this movie, there's no real, like, And there's no time you have to wait for a setup and payoff, except for maybe if you have any doubt in your heart that Neo is the one, which, what kind of movie do you think you're watching if you have any doubt in your heart that Neo is the one? There's no, like, long-term payoff that we're waiting for at any point. So, like, you have to have this because he just got the software installed. So we'll see them. You have to see the effects. You have to, close out the wizard, launch the jujitsu, and get in there. I love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
It is a sledgehammer.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I think what's going to be interesting is seeing how this movie, which, like, is kind of a prototypical example of 3-act structure, right? Like, if you go to the Save the Cat website, The Matrix is the movie that they will use to illustrate 3-act structure. It's the, I based my first novel, it was like, okay, how would The Matrix, use the similar pacing and plot points. And I think it's so interesting to see how that all goes out the fucking window in the second 2 movies. Because I don't remember the third one basically at all. And the second one gets really weird and, metaphysical. And I think it'll be interesting to see, as we are trying this anew, trying to actually do our series in a row. I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because I think, this first one is so tightly made and the other 2 are just all over the place. So I'm just wondering, like, why is this one so neat and the other 2 are so, I guess, messy?
I mean, we're going to find out, right? Because it's not like this movie ends and you're like, okay, well, that's Neo's story done. Like, it's very clearly leading into sequels, right? When nobody's destroyed the Matrix, it's just this movie is the Neo origin story. So you have to assume there's going to be more Matrix movies, but I am curious about the decisions that get made that cause that kind of difference. I'm struggling to think of a trilogy where it felt planned all the way through. So, I'm curious to see what the kind of pattern is with these 3. And I would be interested in watching more movies from the Wachowskis, especially after they transitioned, because the minds on these women.
Yeah. I mean, we have actually watched a Wachowski movie,
Jupiter Ascending.
Right. And I think
I would rewatch
you can tell.
it.
Jupiter Ascending, for some of the goofy shit in it, I think that's in here. That's in The Matrix, right? All of the same goofball bullshit, all the same, high drama space opera camp is in The Matrix, right? Like, it's always been there.
But it's completely earnest. And it's like, I am trying to find the line between what is earnest and what is earnest, but kind of like highfalutin and edgy, versus earnest and earnestly pretentious. Because some things are pretentious, but you can, like, the person who is making the pretentious thing, they fucking mean what they're saying. It's just that what they're saying is kind of stupid. And I think the difference, and I think what the Wachowskis nail is, it's earnest and kind of highfalutin, and there's a lot going on, but they are unsubtle, not because they think the audience is stupid, but they're unsubtle because they know exactly what they want to communicate. And they are just determined to tell you. And it comes across. And I think that's why I love their work, because it doesn't talk down to me. It just hammers me over the head with the point in, like, a fun way. It's a squeaky hammer. It makes a little noise. It goes...
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're right. I mean, and I think if you're making something for a mass audience, right, that's going, a big, I think this was like a $60 million budget, right? Yeah, 63 million. Yeah, that's a relatively big budget for a movie in '99. You're going to use that to try to get a movie out to millions of people. You kind of do have to dumb it down, not to condescend to the viewing audience, although I'm happy to do that. But like, I do think that there is a utility in being like, I'm going to be very blunt with the themes and messages of my movie. See James Cameron's entire oeuvre, right? Not subtle, but effective in some ways.
No, but at the same time, I feel like James Cameron's folly, and I harped on this when we talked about Avatar 2, is James Cameron has kind of lost the plot of who his audience is because he spends 20 minutes very violently hunting down a whale. And it's like, brother, if I'm here for your movie about a planet of blue people in which the first one is literally Dances with Wolves, and you're trying to give me this like naturalist message, what makes you think that I need to be convinced that violent abuse of animals is bad via 20-minute whale hunt? And so it feels condescending because I'm like, I already know this. Meanwhile, you got the Wachowskis in this movie who are completely unsubtle, and they're like, what if real life was an illusion and like you're being taken advantage of? But it's not trying to teach me that I'm being taken advantage of, because it kind of assumes like the bad guys are bad guys. It's not a shock. But it is just like, instead it is hammering on the power of hope. Am I making... I'm really trying to work through something right now, and I'm like... I think the thing I'm trying to get at is that it feels condescending when the movie or the thing is trying to explain the problem to you versus when it is trying to hype up the solution.
I think that is an important distinction to draw, right? Like, there is something to being like, the audience needs to see this horrific 20-minute whale hunt.
Terrible.
I understand why, sometimes you have to do the Stephen King go for the gross out. Sometimes it is effective to get your audience to feel a certain way by showing them something horrific or scary or emotionally painful to get them in that mood. But I think I 100% prefer when the film is like, okay, we're trying to get you to believe in yourself. How are we going to do that? By fucking lighting all the fireworks we can in this small one-car garage and just letting it fucking go. I think that's a much more fun way to create a piece of work, certainly.
Right. Well, I mean, it's very... it's more fun. And like, if there's anything we've learned from politics in the last 10 years, it's that people want to be associated with winners and they want to be having fun. And, if you're trying to be preachy, it's not going to work. Nobody likes being corrected, right? Nobody likes being scolded. And so I feel like James Cameron, to continue with the example of Avatar, I'm not just trying to harp on James Cameron specifically, but like... Well,
we are, but that's another thing.
Whatever. It's just, I felt scolded for something I didn't do during that scene. I'm like, I love whales. I know killing whales is bad. What are we doing here? Meanwhile, we got Neo having to go through this journey of being like, I do data bio, actually. And now I'm going to dodge bullets because of it. Mm-hmm. And that's a very, that is why we find shonen protagonists compelling. That is why Naruto is relevant, 25 years on. That is why the biggest properties are the, magical girl properties and shonen properties. If we're talking about anime, it's characters who have to go through an arc of learning to believe in themselves. And that works better than being scolded.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're 100% right.
I always am.
Yeah, and that's true. You can listen to the last 201 episodes of this podcast, and Layla's never been wrong. And that's
never.
Okay.
I've never admitted to being wrong. I've never attempted being wrong. I don't even know the meaning of the word.
Mm-hmm. You touched on something that I think is worth dissecting, which is the cultural impact of the Matrix, especially in U.S. politics. We can talk about the concept of being a red-pilled person, which basically just means that you're a misogynist and you think you're smart. But I think there's something deeper, which is that this movie can be read so many ways by so many people. And I'm wondering, one, why that is. Why is it so easy to make a read that fits your particular philosophy or political ideology? and two, is that a strength of the film, or is it a weakness? Is it too broad?
I think in order to have a specific reading of a work, you have to there's good faith readings and there's bad faith readings. And I think good faith readings take everything into account, take into account the context in which the work was made, and then you can draw your own conclusions. And there's some good faith readings of things that I don't agree with, but I can see how they got there, and that's fine. I think when we talk about the kind of right-wing absorption of the Matrix, we are talking about bad faith readings, because in order to get to some of the conclusions that these people get to, you have to ignore a lot of what the Wachowskis are putting down and be really selective and cherry pick the things that you are picking up. I think I think the thing that I picked up on watching the movie that is kind of the most... This is going to be a nightmare to edit, because this new format has me thinking. I'm not used to that. This is the problem.
We gotta stretch our brains.
Gotta stretch our little brains. I'm leaving this in. I think the thing I picked up on while watching the movie is that because Neo is special and told he is special and told he can do the things he can do because he is special, I think that's kind of the flaw in terms of like enabling people to read it in a disingenuous light, because it's like, yeah, okay, if I'm taking a reading in the Matrix where I am basically inserting myself into the shoes of Neo, I am the chosen one. I am the special one. And not just because I happen to be an everyman in the position that Neo was in. It is a prophecy. It was prophesized. It was told to me. It was communicated to me. I am that person. And I think if you are red-pilled, I think there is a lot of that kind of like libertarian hyper-individualism, I'm the main character, I'm the chosen one energy happening there. You have to be the liberator of the sheeple. It is your individual responsibility, rather than what the movie had inklings of, but I wish leaned into more, which was the teamwork and cooperation between this like team of hackers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard, it's hard to make a piece of media that cannot be interpreted stupidly unless you're just like, hey, by the way, at the beginning of the movie, I'm the director. Here are all my politics. That's kind of a silly way to make art.
Well, I mean, that being said, you did very much write a whole novella of like about like Catholic kaiju.
Yeah, but you can still read that badly, right? And nothing is immune from stupid reads.
You can read anything. You can read anything badly, sure.
Yeah.
Is there another work that you can think of that is like kind of like The Matrix that has had an outsized cultural impact? That is also often read very badly.
Oh, this is easy. It's Star Wars.
Oh, I forgot about Star Wars.
Which you should have, to be fair. But yeah, there are plenty of people who are like, I mean, there's even a joke about this in the new Knives Out movie, which is like, we'll rule the galaxy like as father and son, just like the rebels. The piece of shit right wing wannabe politician says that in that movie. Notably directed by Rian Johnson. So like that's important, but like
Let
it goes to
Rian
show.
Johnson make more Star Wars.
Listen, it's one of the best Star Wars that's been made in the last couple of decades. So,
right. But finish your thought, please.
But yeah, like plenty of clearly a film that began as like making America's parallels to the Vietnam War. The Viet Cong are the rebels, right? That's an explicit read that George Lucas has, and then everybody's being like, oh, but actually, the Empire is big government, and the rebels are the people with guns in their basement.
So, do you feel like there's there's something here that I think we're starting to hit on in terms of like what are the aesthetics and the trappings of villainy that make it look appealing? Like, do we think that maybe the agents are just see, this is tricky because it's like in Star Wars, people think that the Sith and the Empire are cool looking, right? We get people really like Darth Vader, Darth Maul, for the kind of like aesthetic of villainy, the lightning of the Force, the red sabers. I was trying to pull that with the agents here, but the agents aren't cool. Like they are cool in the sense of what they can do, but they look like dweebs. So I guess in that scenario, you are kind of forced to, you're forced into a bad faith reading, because if you want to identify with these principles, then you have to warp the protagonist into your worldview, right? You have to ignore the kind of altruism at the core of what they are doing.
That's a funny way to, idiot proof your cultural property. Just be like, okay, all of the bad guys look dumb as hell. And if you do that, then anybody trying to misinterpret your work will have to, tie themselves in knots, which is fun.
Right, which is what people who misinterpret the Matrix have to do. Or, like me, have not seen the Matrix, right, and just kind of use the cultural osmosis, red pill, blue pill analogy for their own means, or because it's become kind of cultural shorthand for whatever, which there's a couple of properties like that, right? It's Star Wars, it's the Matrix, it's a lot of things in the 2000s. We can do cultural shorthands.
But yeah, that does make me think about chosen one narratives, right? This is, you couldn't be a more Jesus archetype if, they tied Neo to a crucifix and drove nails into him.
Oh, we should look out for crucifix imagery in the next two movies. Non-zero chance.
I'm pretty sure there is a 100% chance that happens in one of these next two movies. But yeah, I mean, how do we feel about that? Because it is a little annoying how much Neo is the chosen one.
I think isn't that an artifact of the 2000s though? Because wasn't there a cultural backlash to it in a sense?
This is Joseph Campbell, right? This is clearly a Joseph Campbell thing, or not even a Joseph Campbell thing. This is like a main character type deal. And what is useful about chosen one narratives? I think it's obvious that there are many problems with chosen one narratives. But what is the Matrix doing that makes it compelling, that makes us want to believe in Neo? Is it just Reeves's, incredibly endearing performance?
Yeah, because I'll flip the question back to you. Do you think he needs to be the chosen one? Or do you think we could have gotten an everyman who believes in himself? Or do you think that would have fundamentally changed the story in some kind of way?
That's a good point. If Neo just happened to become the one, right? If it was a narrative where it's the good guy isn't born but formed, that would be as compelling.
What does it do for the story that he is born or reborn?
It makes Morpheus's rescue of him that much more urgent, right? It's not just we're going to trade one person up to be the Superman, but it does also put a kind of super importance on his character, which I think is just kind of a boring thing to do, to be like, hey, this one person is the most important person in the world. I think that is just kind of a boring thing to do with any story, because that is very rarely the case. I think that's the criticism I want to level.
I think I agree with you. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but
I don't know. I feel like I want to come to something more profound than Keanu just makes it work, but I think that might be it.
He does. That's the problem, is he does. And it's I think thinking through it, it does feel like it would be fun if it was revealed that the Oracle tells everybody that, hoping that they overcome, because they're all potentials, right? That's how they refer to all the people sitting in the Oracle's living room. I think it would be fun if there are still all potentials. Nothing changes, because, she tells them that they are potential. All she does is confirm that they have the potential, but you are not the one right now. And I think that the thing that makes Neo, or whatever, the protagonist of the Matrix, special the one special is that they have to kind of craft themselves. And, you know, her prophecy that Morpheus is going to find the one and that Trinity is going to fall in love with the one, I think those can also be fulfilled in their earnest belief that they are looking for the best candidate. And in that way, the one self-selects to be the best, most altruistic person that they are looking to find. And I think that is more compelling than the Jesus narrative. And the way you achieve it is just by eliminating the rebirth shit.
Right. I will say there's one thing I remember, besides there's a cool sword fight on a highway, about the second movie, and there's a big reveal. And I think that might complicate this conversation once we revisit it here in like 2 weeks or whenever it is we record next. But I think there is more going on. I think we'll hopefully be able to revisit this and have some more informed perspectives. And maybe this will be, our first attempt at trying out this method, seeing how, going through works in sequence play out. So, yeah, that's I think that's it. Do you have any other, closing thoughts?
We didn't do something up top that I had wished we had done, which is, do you want to close out a little bit, since this is our big New Year's episode, do some goals, things we want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, right? Like, I just released a big video that is probably the most important thing I'll ever do, and I also didn't want to do it that much. I'm happy to have done it, but I'm glad it's over for the most part. So, I wanna make, I don't know. I want to make good writing, and I want people to respect me more. I think that's all I can really ask for, which is perhaps folly, but it is my goal is to make more stuff that people like and that will earn me acclaim.
Mm-hmm. Speak it into the universe, King,
You gotta. Someone's gotta.
Someone's gotta.
What goals are you thinking about as a creative?
I think I want to center my presence more. I feel like all the things that I do are all over the place, and I want to start weaving in my many mid talents to have more to do with each other and to maybe create like one artistic vision that no matter what I am doing, that I am like working towards. We'll see what that looks like. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what does and does not serve me and where I'm spending my time. So we'll see if we come out stronger. I do also want to just put it out there. I do also want people to think I'm smart. That's also a goal of mine. So, if you want to tell us we're smart, mortifiedpod@gmail.com. But yeah, okay.
Yeah,
well,
100%.
You want to take us
out? Yes. When we are not opening your minds and freeing you to the truth of the world, where can we be found on the internet, Leyla?
You can find me at LEYLSES on Blue Sky and also Tumblr. And here's the thing. In my journey of making stuff, I tend to use this portion of the podcast to be like, I don't know, I think I'm doing something. And then I either don't do it or I don't make a lot of fanfare about it because I've changed my mind or it needs more work. So I think until I figure out what my creative output is, instead of hyping up my work, I'm going to take this time to share something someone else has done that I've enjoyed. So this episode, I would like to tell you to read Queen Demon, or Witch King if you haven't read it, because Witch King comes first, by Martha Wells, which are a really excellent fantasy series. You do have to be kind of okay being confused, because she throws a lot of vocabulary at you, but the characters are so charming that they are worth sticking with, and then by the time you get to Queen Demon, it all starts to come together. So yeah, what about you?
Yeah, you could find me on Blue Sky at AA Voigt, Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, and youtube.com /at AA Voigt, where I make my YouTube tabletop RPG essays. I just had a big one on the last 15 years of the RPG hobby, which I think is pretty good.
It was very good.
Please go check that out. Thank you. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how shall we say goodbye to the first of the Matrix movies?
Aaron, why do my eyes hurt?
That's the thing, Leyla. You've never used them before.
Damn.
We'll see you all next time.
Bye.